All right, so 3 days ago, literally April 9th, Canton's governance quietly merged something called SIP 112. And the exact same week, a stealth startup nobody's talking about called Cancore flipped on a mainnet beta that does something every bridge company on Earth said could not be done, which is move value between Canton and public blockchains with no relays, no custody, no validators, no nothing. Right, so those two events are actually the same event. Let me show you why. This is Canton SIP 56 and Cancore 101. CIP 56 is Canton's token standard. Think of it as Canton's version of ERC20, except built from the ground up for regulated institutional finance. It was written in March 2025 by three digital asset engineers, Simon Meier, Matteo Limberto, and Moritz Kiefer. Approved by Canton governance on March 31st. Status: final. So what does it actually do? 5 things. Sub-transaction privacy. Only parties to a trade see it. Atomic delivery versus payment. Cash leg and asset leg settle together or not at all. Multi-step transfers with admin controls, which matters for regulated assets. Native KYC and AML hooks, and deterministic settlement finality in seconds. Before CIP 56, every token on Canton was bespoke DAML code. Every wallet had to integrate every asset separately. After CIP 56, any wallet, any app, any custody provider works with any CIP 56 token out of the box. That's what turned Canton from a collection of private bank tokens into an actual interoperability layer. And the scale is real. Canton says CIP 56 now underpins over $280 billion in daily on-chain repo volume and around $6 trillion in real-world assets. In August 2025, TradeWeb executed the first 24/7 on-chain U.S. Treasury financing against USDC using CIP 56. Bank of America, Citadel, DTCC, Societe Generale, all in the same transaction. This isn't hypothetical infrastructure. On April 2nd, pull request 187 opened on the Canton CIP's GitHub. Title: Proposed CIP 112, Canton Network Token Standard v2, Improvements for Privacy, Performance, and Traditional Accounting. Authors: Bernhard Elsner and Simon Meier. Meier wrote CIP 56 originally. Elsner wrote Canton's 2024 blog post saying, "Bridges don't belong in regulated finance." On April 9th, 7 days later, Wayne Collier merged it, 18 commits. That was 3 days ago. Here's what V2 actually adds. Privacy-enhanced batch settlement. The spec example is a 3-trader, 9-leg trade. Each trader sees only their own legs. Asset admins only see their own assets. Only the venue sees all 9. Impossible in V1. Second, single signature authorization for off-chain trades. V1 required traders to sign twice. V2 collapses it to one action, which is how real trading venues actually work. Third is the big one, accountable holdings. V2 replaces the party primitive with an account data structure. Translation: CIP 112 gives Canton native language for traditional custody chains. Bank, sub-custodian, beneficial owner. That's how real securities are held at DTCC and Euroclear. CIP 56 could not model that. CIP 112 can. Fourth, mandatory settle before deadlines are now optional. Settlement can be event-driven. And here's the quote. Elsner and Meier wrote V2 as a backwards compatible evolution, quote, to prevent splitting the on-chain ecosystem. Translation: they refuse to fork Canton's token economy. V2 just makes V1 fluent in TradFi custody. April 4th, Canton approves a new featured app, name Cancore. 3 days later, April 7th, Cancore flips on a mainnet beta, and as of today, that's basically the entire public record on them. One BSCN article, no ledger insights, no blockworks, no block, Nothing from Tier 1 crypto media. And yet, go look at their homepage, cancore.io. First line. Cancore is building the settlement layer between Canton and public blockchains. Non-custodial atomic settlement. No relays, no custody layer, no bridge validators. Now read that list of rejections again. No relays is a shot at layer 0. No custody layer is a shot at wrapped bridges. No bridge validators is a shot at Axelar and Chainlink CCIP. One sentence rejecting every category of bridge that exists today. And here's how they pull it off. The homepage explicitly says, trustless peer-to-peer token exchange using hash time-locked contracts, HTLCs. Same primitive Bitcoin Lightning uses. One side locks an asset behind a hash and a timeout. The other side mirrors it. Whoever reveals the pre-image unlocks both sides. If either drops out, both refund. No third party touches the money. Here's the kicker. Bernhard Elsner, the same guy who just co-authored CIP 112, wrote a Canton blog in July 2024 saying HTLCs were too bespoke for institutional use. Cancore is now a featured app betting the whole product on HTLCs. Canton approving them is Canton conceding Elsner was wrong. Honest caveat. Cancore's team is anonymous. No founders, no funding, no named counterparties, no white paper, no GitHub. Very early. Canton Network is built by Digital Asset. Founded in 2014 by Blythe Masters, the former JP Morgan executive who ran their credit derivatives desk. Today, Digital Asset is led by co-founder and CEO Yuval Rooz, Georgia Tech Electrical Engineering. Before Digital Asset, Rooz worked at Citadel and then DRW Trading, where he ran an algorithmic trading desk and helped launch DRW Venture Capital. Today, Rooz sits on the CFTC Digital Asset Market Subcommittee and the GBBC Board. He's testified before the House Financial Services Subcommittee, a regulator-facing CEO. In December 2025, Digital Asset closed a $135 million strategic round, co-led by Tradeweb and DTCC, with Goldman Sachs, Citadel, DRW, BNP Paribas, Circle, and Paxos all in. Every name on that list is also a counterparty on the network. That's not a VC round. That's an industry consortium round. As of April 4th, Canton has 45 plus super validators securing the network. DTCC, Broadridge, Visa, Chainlink, NASDAQ, Cumberland, BitGo, Circle, Talos, plus Microsoft as strategic technology partner and Deloitte as advisor. More TradFi density than any public blockchain on Earth. Here's the nugget nobody says out loud. Chainlink runs CCIP, a bridge validator network. Chainlink is also a Canton super validator. Cancore's homepage opens with no bridge validators. That's a very pointed shot at CCIP inside Canton's own house. And one more. JP Morgan's Connexus unit is bringing JPM Coin, their bank deposit token, natively onto Canton throughout 2026. So when CIP 112 adds multi-tier account chains, that's not hypothetical. That is the exact data model JPM needs for JPM Coin custody on-chain. In the last 30 days, Canton has had 3 events that all land on the same thesis. March 9th, Zenith launched. EVM execution inside the Canton Trust boundary. April 7th, Cancore flipped on. Atomic swaps across the Canton Trust boundary to public chains. April 9th, CIP 112 merged. Multi-tier custody primitives inside the token standard. Zenith brings EVM in. Cancore moves value out. CIP 112 makes the tokens look like real securities. 3 plays, 1 story. And the trajectory is concrete. DTCC and Digital Asset announced a multi-year roadmap to tokenize DTC-custodied U.S. Treasuries on Canton starting H1 2026. JP Morgan Connexus is rolling JPM Coin onto Canton throughout the year, and CIP 100 is already live. 5% of Canton coin supply goes to protocol development grants. Canton is paying builders to write apps against CIP 56 and now 112. Here's the honest read. Most creators covering Canton are covering Canton coin price. That's the wrong story. The real story is CIP 56 to CIP 112 is quietly becoming the de facto shape of tokenized securities. Not because Canton marketed it, because it's the only token standard that can natively model custody chains at DTCC, Euroclear, or Goldman. And the kicker, if CIP 112's account primitive becomes the common vocabulary between a Goldman custody chain and an Ethereum L2, Canton doesn't need to beat Ethereum. It just needs to be the settlement layer Ethereum plugs into. And Cancore, whoever they are, is the first company that bet a product on that being true. Look, the headline here is not Canton Coin. It's not a price chart. It's that the token standard every regulated institution on Canton is using, CIP 56, just got a V2 that understands how real custody chains actually work. And the very same week, a team that won't even put their own names on the homepage wired up the first non-custodial swap between that world and the public chain world. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal. If this changed how you think about Canton, hit subscribe. Comment which of these three, CIP 112, Cancore, or the JPM coin rollout, you think actually matters most. Notion link with every source is in the description. See you in the next one.